and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. We were lucky enough to chat with Jennifer Hurwitz today for episode number 318. Is that what I said?
Oh, yeah.
318. We are going to do a 5-minute clinic on why your fears are fake.
So I actually do think it's 319.
319.
I believe so.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
We're
sorry. Okay, so before we jump into this episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about coaching and why you should join my Peak Performance Fitness coaching program. Folks, what I've found with my clients, we don't fall off our habits, we just drift. You've heard me say this before. Every single day, I have each client send me their stats. What does that encapsulate? It encapsulates their previous day's calories, their previous day's workout, and their current day's weight. I track in my spreadsheet all of those numbers, and I calculate their run rate. That's how many pounds per week they're losing or gaining based on their goals. Join that ASAP. I have 2 spots open. I'm only ever taking on 10 clients, but that is a huge priority for me right now because I'm seeing that ripple into the lives of many other people. They're having a lot of impact, and I love coaching.
My goodness. So my coaching definitely has a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today. Imagine first becoming aware of your fears and then having somebody there keeping you accountable and pushing you to face those fears. Imagine becoming more confident, becoming more clear on what you want, on focusing more on your business, on getting clear on what are the most important things that you should be doing every single day for health, wealth, and love. That's exactly what I do for my clients. I actually asked one of my new clients the other day, what do you want out of me? Like, what is your goal in hiring a coach? And she said, honestly, I want the knowledge, I want to learn, I want some of the wisdom, but I really want the accountability. I want somebody who's going to hold me accountable. And the next thing I said was, how do you want me to keep you accountable? Do you want me to be tough on you? Finding that balance. So fully customizable. And yes, I would love to help you guys in peak performance, a little bit of business. And then if you're looking to start your podcast, I am your guy. So 5-minute clinic, why your fears are fake.
Do you want to start?
I will start. I didn't set the timer, and I set the timer now. Okay, so
10-minute clinic.
I was watching, I don't know what, Tara and I were watching something. We were watching some movie, and I was thinking to myself, so everybody's afraid of something. At one point, the things that I was afraid of, I was not willing to do, right? Like getting on a plane, it was just unfathomable. I couldn't do it. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, let me go back to like hyperconscious, what hyperconscious actually is. Let me have some hyperconscious thoughts. And when we were at Top Notch Live, I gave the example in the room when I was on the stage. I said, guys, imagine that we're all in our comfort zone right now, and when you walk through these doors, that's your fear. How many of you are just living in your comfort zone all the time? You might poke your head out to see what's outside that door, but there's so many opportunities. There's so many people. There's so many connections. There's so many things that are outside of our comfort zone, and that's where growth is. So I was thinking to myself, this is how I picture life for a lot of people. You're in this hallway, and you walk. There's rooms on both sides. So imagine that. On your left and your right, there's rooms. Like picture a school hallway, and it's just a long hallway with a bunch of rooms. People tuck into the first room, right? They get uncomfortable and they say, I got to go here. And that becomes your comfort zone. You get familiar with the whiteboard. You get familiar with the desks. You know exactly what's in that room. You know where the storage is. You know the people there. And occasionally you'll poke your head out into that hallway and say, I wonder what it's like down there. Right. Like, I wonder what room 300 is like. I'm in room 100 right now. You have to figure out why you're afraid of what you're afraid of at the end of the day. And if you're only living in that classroom and you're not willing to take a walk down the hallway, you're missing out on, I can't even tell you what you're missing out on.
Right.
You can never know. You can never know. If I was too afraid to speak, how many opportunities would I have left on the table? If I was too afraid to get on the plane for the first time, how many opportunities would have been left on the table? If I was too afraid to podcast with Lori Harder or Anthony Trucks or Jarek Robbins, or how many opportunities would be left on the table? If you're not happy where you are in your life, part of me is convinced that it's because you're not facing your fears consistently enough, because the person you want to be is you that has faced fears. That's kind of what it is at the end of the day. So in my opinion, a lot of people's fears are fake. You're thinking of the worst case scenario, and the worst case scenario, more often than not, doesn't happen. And the best case scenario outweighs that.
When you get in the habit of facing fears, you realize how many of them are irrational. And we have two things written on the whiteboard. One was hallway and room analogy that Kevin just took you through. The second is 47,000 times more likely to die in a car. So I have a probably higher acute awareness of the danger of motor vehicles because, as you all know, my father passed away in a car accident. So that's always been something on my radar. Cars are very dangerous. I always wear my seatbelt. It bothers me when people don't. But here's the thing. I always use the analogy of, like, I'm so petrified of snapping turtles.
Yeah.
I had this one thing. I was walking. We had this path. I live on a small lake, big pond. And there was this path. I was walking to my friend Mark's house, and it's like shallow waters. And a big snapping turtle, at least what I thought was big at the time, it probably was a baby snapping turtle. It wasn't. But it came out of the brush and swam past me, and I stepped on it, and I freaked out, and I ran home, and I was so petrified. Now, if you've ever seen a snapping turtle, they're not exactly friendly-looking things, and they didn't survive since the dinosaurs by being nice, okay? So they're scary. I've never been attacked by a snapping turtle. No one's ever died, for the most part, by a snapping turtle that I know of, and yet I'm more afraid of a snapping turtle than I am of getting in my car every single day, even with my acute awareness of how dangerous cars are. In 2012, I looked up how many people die from motor vehicle accidents in this country, and I think this was like probably 2013 or so, and it was 47,000. That includes motorcycles, cars, all of that. The point is this: you are 47,000 times more likely to die in the car that you get in comfortably every single day than you are by a snake or a spider or a snapping turtle. Fears are so irrational. You're not going to get hurt by the phone. You're not going to get hurt by sending that email. You're not going to get hurt by sending that text. You're not going to get hurt. You're in no danger by asking that guy out or asking that girl out. And that's what this is about. It's your fears are fake. And it's just the irrationality of the brain because, you know, from an evolutionary standpoint, the person who stayed in the cave and didn't wander off ended up surviving. And
I like the part that you said you get in your car comfortably every day, because that was the goal of the analogy of the hallway in the classroom. Like that room you're in wasn't comfortable when you were first in it.
Right.
It was just more comfortable than anything else. And once it becomes comfortable, it becomes normal.
Right.
And that's why I'm convinced that, like, skydiving instructors, it's normal for them to jump out of planes.
I know.
The members of the military, it becomes normal for them to be in battle.
Right.
But at one point it wasn't, right? And I'm not saying you want that, but whatever you want can become normal. It's just a matter of getting through that part of it not being normal. And why are you going to do it? You have to have the extra Y power to do it. So I do believe that most of our fears are fake. They come from past traumas. They come from insecurities or limiting beliefs. And it's all about overcoming those guys. Because again, like, if Alan and I didn't overcome certain fears, we wouldn't be here talking to you.
I know.
And I don't ever want people to think like, oh, we're not afraid of anything, because we are.
Right.
And I think that's, a lot of people say that. Like, oh, I'm not, screw judgment. I'm not afraid of being judged. Like, I am. Yeah, sure, I am. And you probably are too. But that doesn't mean you can't do what you want. It just means it might be a little bit more difficult.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. It doesn't take courage if you're not afraid. Last thing, super fast, timer just went off. Remember the first time you ever drove a car? I failed my first driving test.
Classic.
I was so scared. I was nervous as hell. And now it's nothing. Why? Because I've done it 10,000 times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What are we doing next?
Oh.
The drive to 5?
Let me pull. Yeah, deeper dive into the drive to 5.
Or is that scratching the surface?
I can check.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier.
Small talks on a deeper dive into the drive to 5.
Yes. All right. So you guys have heard us talk about the drive to 5, but the more we coach, the more we talk to people, the more we meet people, the more we interact with people, we're always trying to figure out common themes, common patterns, and the drive to 5 is like a law.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to talk about the drive to 5, what it actually means to you, because that's something that we use with our clients a lot. We hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.